Welcome back to the Silver Lining, where it's no filler, no fluff, but we keeps it a buck. And today we're going to be doing the first display of our new segment called Know Your History. So in this segment, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about three MCs that you need to know. Um, if you want to be into this hip hop thing, there's MCs that maybe you don't know about or just don't know exclusively enough. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking about three MCs that we've all nominated, and we're just going to go. So I got the crew with me. I got Stan in the building. How's it going, man?
Doing good, bro. How you doing today?
Going good, man. Also got Kurt in the building. Going on, brother?
You already know, man. I ain't got my hood on, but I'm still putting the hood on. You know.
No doubt. All right, so just want to give you flowers because this is actually Kurt's idea. Kurt wanted to do this, and so since he wanted to do this, I'm going to start with you. Who's the MC that you think people need to know about? I'll let you just go.
Um, there's certain MCs, like you said, Reg. I ain't gonna hop on what you said too much, but there's certain MCs you just gotta know if you love hip hop, like we love hip hop. It's just certain rappers, and a lot of guys get lost in the shuffle of the game. So it is my particular rapper. I believe every fan, every lover of hip hop should know about AZ. AZ is like one of the most lyrically gifted artists we've ever had in this industry. He's one of those dudes that don't cut corners. He's one of those dudes that take morals and principles above progression, So he didn't take a lot of the chances that other rappers did. I don't want to say people sold out, but guys take chances, man. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't do that. He stayed true to the Brooklyn BK nature. Um, Stayed loyal to his family. So he didn't get the exposure that most people would get. Um, but despite that, this man has been making music for 3 decades, man. 3 decades. He just released the album. I was happy to see him have an interview on Drink Champs. He was on Drink Champs with Noriega. And you see, yo, Quiet Money, that man wasn't saying nothing. He answered every question was like AZ he was trying to get it out of him. He was trying to, I mean, I know he was trying to get the hot take out of him. He just couldn't because, like I say, he gonna always stand on the same moral principles that he came up under. So just to give y'all some highlights of his career, or things to look forward to. Illmatic, one of the greatest albums to ever be known. He has the best verse. He has his verse on Life's a Bitch and Then You Die. That verse, visualizing the realism of life and actuality, fuck who's the baddest, a person's status depends on salary and my mentality. I'm not even going to do it, man. I'm about to lose my breath. It was too early in the morning to be spitting AZ, bro. But that verse is like, for those who know, that's like regarded as arguably the greatest individual verse in the history of hip hop. Like in the history of hip hop. So he took that fame from that and he came out with Do or Die. Um, like I said, Illmatic. He was on Illmatic, so it lets you know it's been at least 3 decades he's been doing it. So he comes out with Do or Die, classic album. However, he's not a mainstream dude, so it's not getting the respect. He's more of like to like the underground hip hop artist, which is why there's not too many hip hop fans who know about him. He got a song on there called "Whole Happy Jackie," and I disliked this song when I first heard it. About 10, 20 years ago, I didn't like "Whole Happy Jackie," and then one day, then I realized like "Whole Happy Jackie" is still walking down the streets in 2025. This is a woman he was describing in 1996. He was describing this woman, the whole Happy Jackie. And you could walk right outside and see a whole Happy Jackie right now. Like timeless music that spans throughout decades. Do or Die, Nine Lives, Pieces of a Man, Asiatic. I was just telling Reg he had a hidden album. I just just recently came across like 6 months ago called Gold, Oil, and Diamonds. Didn't even know it existed. You know, this is a guy that if you respect Nas and you think Nas is a great lyricist, this is a guy you have to listen to. This is a guy for neck and neck, and there are songs where I don't want to speak blasphemous against the GOAT, but there are songs where AZ killed Nas. If you listen to the Firm album, that was their group. Nas, Foxy, Nas, Foxy, AZ, and Cormega originally. It was Cormega originally, then it became Nature. But there's some songs on there where AZ just flat out outshine Nas. AZ is like the greatest lyricist that no one talks about. They talk about Eminem, we talk about Andre 3000. People even give respect to Common for his respect. But when we talk about pure lyricist, pure wordplay, AZ has to be top five. I don't see how AZ is not arguably top five. Arguably. I'm not going to etch it in stone. But wordplay, bars, cadence. He got story writing. He got the song when he's rapping as if he's Martin Luther King. He has songs where he's rapping as if he got storytelling. You know, he got songs. Man, he got a song with Ray J I like, and I don't even bang with Ray J like that. But you know what I'm saying? And it's consistent. Like I promise you, if you start at Do or Die, if you're a rap fan, listen to this. If you start at Do or Die and work your way up, you will think like, how is this man not regarded as one of the greatest ever? How is he not like put? Why is his name not mentioned with the Biggies, the Pots, and the Nas's and the Big Pun? Because that's how the game was back then. Like AZ came up in a bad time. I'm sorry. He came up in an era that had Biggie, Pop, Nas, Big Pun, Big L, LL was doing it. Like it was Wu Tang was over here. You know what I'm saying? You still had Dre and Snoop over there. Like it was so many dope artists that a guy like AZ could get buried. That's basically what it was. AZ was a monster artist, you know, but it was just so much other good music. Then you had Lauryn Hill with the Refugees coming through, right? Then Queen Latifah might drop. Like, yo, like you gotta understand, like this is what they say is that was the golden era of rap. Like they call it the golden era of rap because of the competition. It was so much competition. And AZ didn't have a big backing. He didn't have a big grand major label behind him. You know what I'm saying? And at the time, Nas was his man, and Nas was shining, you know. So it was like it wasn't enough room. And then you know you got Mobb Deep over here. I didn't even mention Outkast. Oh my goodness, like that era, bro. We just need to cover that era, bro. For real, for real. We just need to cover that era. But he came up. He came up in the era. He was a dope lyricist in the era of dope lyricists, and he didn't make radio hits. And that was, you know, Sugar Hill was the biggest radio hit he ever had. And the only reason it was commercial was because Miss Jones was singing on it. Like if Miss Jones if Miss Jones not singing on it, it's not, bro, because he talking all street the whole song. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like if you're a true rap fan and you love this, start at Do or Die, listen to Nine Lives, listen to Asiatic, listen to Pieces of a Man. Do or Die too, recently. This man is 50 years old and he's still making good music, but it's not mainstream. AZ is dedicated to the lyricist. If you love lyricism, then you gotta look up AZ, man. You gotta look up AZ. I know y'all probably want to say something about AZ yourself, so you know what I mean. Let
Yeah,
y'all do y'all thing.
yeah, man. You said a lot, man. I mean, you definitely said a lot. I just want to say, um, just from a personal level, um, And I mentioned this before. We were talking about. I think we were talking about that Drake song. We were talking about like the rhyme patterns. We were talking about
Hmm.
starting the rhyme here and staying in that same rhyme and taking the rhyme all the way down. And bro, like I remember like trying to write my little raps, and I remember there was the song on Nine Lives. The last song was a posse cut. It was called Quiet Money. And again, the rest of the guys on there were trash, but AZ's verse, AZ went first, and the whole rhyme all the way down, one rhyme. And I remember like looking at that song. I remember like printing the lyrics out and having the lyrics in front of me, and then trying to like write mine in that same pattern. Because I was like, yo, I want to rap like this, this
Right,
rhyme
right.
pattern. I want to be able to do this, man. So like, I remember I actually recorded a song that was over the what's the name of the song on It Was Written with the firm on there? Affirmative action.
Um,
Affirmative action.
yeah,
That's it.
time to take affirmative
Yeah,
act.
yeah.
Yo,
And I
sit back, relax, sip your
yeah,
cognac.
yeah. And I'm sitting there trying to write my rhyme like just like that. So like on a personal level, AZ was a huge influence, man. And you said a lot with the albums, man. There's another album that came out, AWOL. AWOL was amazing.
AWOL, yep.
AWOL, I played that album like crazy. He actually had a song on there. It was a storytelling song called "Never Change," and I remember the hook on the song always made me think about you for some reason. It was something in the range. Real niggas never change, and though we homies and we no longer hang, you know me, and that love still remains. I was like, because
Yeah.
you know how it is. You kind of grow apart. You're doing
You
your own
grow up,
thing and
yeah,
whatnot. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
it's a great
yeah.
song. It's a great song. It's a storytelling song. So yeah, I love that song. And like, if we just talk about, like you said, man, lyrically, AZ's. I'm gonna try to spit this.
Gifted.
I'm gonna try to spit this verse, man. But I don't know if I can get it. But I'm gonna try it, man. And when I talk about the song, you're gonna know what I'm talking about.
Go ahead.
Asiatic, the last song on Asiatic, Rebirth. Um,
You can go ahead. Go ahead, try it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Hey Ray, go ahead. Go ahead, try it. Go ahead.
all right, here we go. Again, know your history, people. This is
Know
one of the
your
all-time
history.
greats, man. Flow of a nigga holding my clothing to get you open. I'm toasting with bitches poaching, approaching with mixed emotions. I'm ready like military. I'm very like Ben and Jerry's. Compare me to him and scary. I'm eerie as cemeteries. And losing is not a sabi. Say moving from paparazzi. I'm proving the angels got me. I'm cooling. My game is cocky and money can never make me. My guns, they don't come with safeties. I hung with the ones that's crazy. I come from the front of Macy's. I'm shopping and dropping 80s. I'm
Ooh.
shopping with proper ladies. I'm hearing a lot of maybes, but niggas ain't hard as AZ. It's
Hey yo, you
I
remember that song Affirm Biz? Remember
yeah,
how he came in? Oh,
yes,
like I forgot, bro, how he came in. I just had it in my mind where you said
yeah,
it. He
good
said
song.
The
something
firm,
Yeah, go
the
ahead,
basic
firm
as that.
album gets
jump
a
in
lot
here,
of
man.
gets just the firm album gets shit on a lot by a lot of people. It's not that
Hmm.
bad. It ain't good either, but it's not that bad. And that album gets shit on a lot and I don't even know why.
I don't even.
But not like AZ was the first. Like AZ was a dude that made like when AZ came out and he was out and I'm like I didn't even know what the fuck a multi-syllabic rhyme pattern was. I don't know what the fuck that was. And I
Right.
learned that shit from that. Like I learned that shit from him. Like, I didn't know what the fuck that was, but he is like yeah. When you are the only guest artist on perhaps the greatest hip hop LP of all time,
Yep.
you hold your own with Nas, who was a lyrical prodigy when he came out.
Hmm.
He was the next Rakim. He was a prodigy. And AZ's the only guest artist on his debut album, which is considered one of the greatest of all time. And he holds his own on Life's a Bitch with Nas. It, arguably drops a verse just as good as what Nas does.
It was.
You can argue it. Definitely could
Yeah.
argue it. You know what I'm saying? He's a dope nigga, man. Like I said, he's been out for 3 decades, been putting out shit for 3 decades. I'm not big on a lot of his albums that maybe Reggie was on into, but definitely Asiatic when he came out was my shit.
Asiatic
Definitely.
was the what?
He was my shit when he came out. He does not get nearly the recognition she get. And I don't know if it's because him and Nas kind of went their own paths or whatever, but he was always seen as, well, he's coming up under Nas, and he really wasn't a Nas artist. Niggas knew each other, they recorded together.
They
They
was
kind of came
homies.
up, yeah, it was the homies. They kind of came up under Nas, and then like I said, the Firm shit, which again, I don't know what the fuck happened with the Firm album. That should be like a documentary done about that shit and what happened with it and why it was delayed, named differently, and then finally released. And people was like, it was all right, and they kept it moving.
Mm-hmm.
That should be a documentary done on that Firm album, but
Yeah.
Yo is dope, man. Like I said, he's one of those dudes that the real lyricists from that era will say, yeah, that nigga was good. He was dope. He had a great voice. He had a good flow. His flow was amazing. It's like fine wine and shit. And shit just kept getting better as he got older.
Mm-hmm.
You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like he needs his props, and I'm glad that somebody's giving the nigga his flowers today because he deserves it. He's
definitely.
one of the more underrated dudes from that era, definitely.
Hey, Reg, and another thing, how we referencing Nas. People say, AZ never addressed Nas. You know what I mean? He never addressed the situation between him and Nas, but he did. It's on the Gold, Oil, and Diamonds album. It's on the God. Called God, God. It's a song called Do Me This Way. He addresses Nas, bro.
Okay. I never heard
He
that.
addressed, yeah, that's why I'm saying you gotta listen to the God album, bro, from start to finish. It's a great album. Yo, his production, the beats he choose, like he be having the his discography is like one of those hidden relics in the movies. Like they didn't know it existed. Somebody wipe it off dust and a mummy come alive or something. Like that's his album. Like when they dig up the artifacts and they pull it out, it's gonna be his albums. It's gonna be a stack of CDs like this of his albums, bro. Like definitely. Want to give you some roses, AZ, bro. Y'all need to know y'all history, AZ,
Absolutely.
man.
Easy. I remember it was one song, I forget the name of the song. There's this guy that's talking the song, hyping him up, and he's like, AZ, Anthony Cruz, one of the greatest
Oh,
rappers that graced the motherfucking microphone. Now I feel he hasn't got his proper respect yet. You remember that joint? That's an
yeah,
ill song
yeah.
too.
I think that's
Yeah.
an intro, ain't it?
It's a
Ain't that?
bonus song. It's a bonus song on AWOL. AWOL is amazing. Man,
Hey, well,
AWOL.
they all are. Yo, wait till you hear go. Wait till
I'm
you
gonna check
hear
it out.
God, yo. You gonna be like, bro, I can't believe. And this album came out around the time of Black Republicans. Money, I got love for them.
Okay. Okay.
The Black Republicans
Yeah.
came out.
Hip hop
This
shit.
and that's why I say "Don't Do Me This Way" was on that album too.
Okay. I'm gonna check it out.
So it was like, you know what I mean? It's a little historical value for that album.
No doubt. Yeah, man. AZ, one of the goats, man. Flowers definitely deserved, without question. One of the goats. All right, Stan, who's your nomination?
Mine
Know
is
your
interesting
history.
because most people know who Ice Cube is. But I don't know if most people know that Ice Cube at one point was one of the best MCs in the industry in the game. One of the most politically charged, pushing the envelope MCs in the game. Like I don't think people know about his history. They know, Ice Cube, we did the Friday movies and all that shit. This nigga was one of the most influential rappers of the 90s. Was the front person of the most racially charged, influential, ceiling breaking groups of all time. The niggas with attitude. I don't know where hip hop is without the niggas with attitude. I don't know where we are as a culture without NWA and the doors they kicked down and the way that they came on the scene at a time when that type of shit was just not done. And it was not something that white America was prepared for. They thought hip hop was some ghetto shit that just the niggas in the hood listened to. Once that shit crossed over into Idaho and Iowa and Minneapolis and all
Hmm.
these other white areas, that's when it became a problem. And NWA and Ice Cube was niggas that pushed the shit to that point because they made shit that white people enjoy. Like, oh shit, I like that. I like that record. But were they prepared for the content? Again, Cube was writing all the
Mm-hmm.
lyrics for NWA, and that's not nothing
Except for
anybody doesn't
Ren.
know.
Ren was the only person writing his own. He
Yeah,
did
yeah,
everybody's shit. Yep.
Cube and Ren wrote everything. Cube wrote "Fuck the Police," one of the most important
Mm-hmm.
songs of this era. A song that became very relevant again 5 years ago, unfortunately.
Yep.
You know, he was a master storyteller and a writer at that time, one of the best in the game. And, he wrote "Fuck the Police" and "Straight Outta Compton," iconic records. You know what I'm saying? "Straight Outta Compton," the album, is an album that you should have heard once in your life. Everybody should listen to once in your life to understand that era, understand where the world was in that time. Because again, yes, the world is different now in ways and the same in ways, but understand where things were at certain times. The best way to do that is listen to albums from that era.
Yep.
So you want to know about the '80s and the late '80s and the '90s, listen to Straight Outta Compton. Listen to America's Most Wanted. Those
Yep.
albums will tell you where we were at that time. Cube left NWA because he felt they were getting screwed over by Jerry Heller, which is going to be a
Yep.
theme among Cube's early works of his. And I'm trying to put this so we don't get booted off. Um, his criticism of a particular group of people.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Thank you.
And we'll just leave it at that because, yeah. He leaves NWA, goes to the East Coast, hooks up with Public Enemy, the Bomb Squad, and does American Most Wanted. Another album that you need to have listened to at least once.
And
He
when you say
takes the
Americas with three Ks, let it be known that it was Americas with three
yeah
Ks
yeah
in the middle of it.
America's
Yeah.
with three Ks and again understand where the time where we were in this country at that time. Black America was in this country at that time, and you understand why it's called that. This nigga, like I said, he merges that West Coast sound with the East Coast bombastic shit that Public Enemy was doing. And it just works. It
Mm-hmm.
works. It just works together, and it's a classic album. It's one of the best, and definitely check it out if you haven't heard it. The other Cube album that you need to hear is Death Certificate. Again, pushing the envelope of at the time. And yes, there's a lot more of the criticism of a particular group of people in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's right or wrong. I'm just going to say that's what he was saying. You can make your own determination about whether you agree with the shit he says and what he has said over the years. At that time, he was very much into the Nation of Islam and the teachings of that group, and those people also have a problem with the other group of people I just mentioned a minute ago. I don't know why I got tiptoe around this shit, but I'm just doing it. I don't want to get you kicked off. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to tiptoe around some of this stuff, but y'all listening know what I'm talking about. You two know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about, and we'll leave it at that. When Q became a movie star and he did Boys in the Hood, one of the most important black films of the last 40 years. Friday, one of the most influential black films of the last 40 years. And people kind of forgot that he was a rapper because he kind of started drifting towards Hollywood. And he made a bunch of other movies that weren't really good, Anaconda, whatever. Some other he did, but once Q got into the Hollywood thing, I think people forgot that he was what he used to be. And that's what I'm saying. Y'all may know Cube as the Friday guy, and you know Cube from certain films and Ride Along with Kevin Hart. The nigga was one of the best rappers of his generation. An influential rapper that's influenced everybody that you might know. Because he pushed the envelope, he pushed political commentary, he pushed social commentary. He wasn't just rapping about bitches and hoes and wheels and all kinds of shit. You know what I'm saying? He pushed the culture forward at a time when the West Coast was just taking their shit over. and this is before Dre went solo. Snoop came on the scene. Pac came on the scene. He's the forefather of gangster rap of West Coast music that
Facts.
Kendrick Lamar has taken to the next level today. There would be no Kendrick Lamar without Ice Cube. That's a
Facts.
fact. There may not be a Snoop or Dre without Ice Cube. You know what I'm saying? This nigga is important to the culture, and people need to understand that shit. Look his discography up. Go listen to his older stuff. This nigga was as super influential as anybody, and he was just dope at the time. And like I said, I'm not gonna get into his newer stuff because I don't want to hear it. I'm not saying it's not good or bad or whatever. He's still a pretty good rapper. I'm not gonna say anything. He's
But it's
still
not gonna be hungry.
good. But it's not. Yeah, it's not that era of that shit. It's just, hey, look, I can still rap because I can do it. But his older stuff, the NWA stuff, definitely must listen to, must hear, must understand. This dude was very important to the development of hip hop in the early '90s. So if you don't know, you need to get on that shit. Go on Apple Music, go wherever you listen to your music at. Put that nigga's name
Mm-hmm.
in your fucking search machine.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to his older shit and understand where a lot of this gangster shit came from. That West Coast sound that people are familiar with was started with Cube and other dudes, but he's the forefather of it. So
Facts.
Yeah. Push rhymes like weight. Push
Hey
rhymes
yo,
like
that's it.
yeah.
Hey
You go
Reg,
ahead.
that's the alpha. That's the that he really is the genesis of gangster rap. Gangster
Yeah.
rap starts with Ice Cube. It was
Mhm.
dudes that was street, but that whole like Stan said, like there is no Dre without Ice Cube. It was Ice Cube. He literally said, "Easy, rap this song called Dope Boy because you it describes you." Like
Mhm.
the reason like Ice Cube ain't just started telling stories when he shot Friday. He didn't just start shooting Friday, telling stories when he started making movies. If you listen to his music, you could tell he was a producer or that. Like his shit is called Cube Vision. That's the name. That's perfect
Mhm.
because you can like see the stories. That's why I had to take a bow when you said death certificate, bro. You got to bow for that, bro. I'm sorry, bro. That is your death certificate. When you said that, it was like, damn. Because we talk about the Tupacalypse now. We talk about the Illmatic, but yo, death certificate is right there. Like Diary of Scarface. Yo, death certificate is right there with all of them, bro. And then another thing, Stan, he was he was so West Coast, he put a blood and a Crip in the same group. West Side Connection. He
West Side
had Mac
Connection.
10 right here. He had Mac 10 right here and Dub C right there. At a time when niggas was like beefing in Cali. Like he was the first nigga to say, yo, bring peace. I got a blood over here. I got a Crip over here, bro. Like, let's chill. You know what I mean? Like, so like, and the crazy thing, like Stan said, like I know about Ice Cube, but his walk in Hollywood was so big, even I forget that he was a rapper. Bro, I was at a Big Three game this summer, right? And I was watching the Big Three when it's downtown and shit. And at halftime, he performed. And I knew all of his music. Like, I knew it. Like, I was rapping it with him. And I was like, yo, hold up, bro. We getting a show from Ice Cube. Like, in the middle of it. Like, it just dawned on me. Like, yo, we getting a performance. He did 3 songs, yo. He did Cause It's Friday off the Friday soundtrack. He did Good Day. And he did yeah, yeah. I push rhymes like wait. He did those three. But I was sitting there singing today was a good day. Mama cooked the breakfast. The whole crowd, Mama cooked the breakfast with no small. And I'm all sitting there. I'm
Mhm.
at the Big Three, bro. I'm at the Big Three just having fun. I just realized, it just dawned on me. Like, bro, I'm getting it's only 3 songs, but I'm getting a performance from one of the greatest rappers of all time. Like, if you ask my uncle, them older niggas I was saying you stand, he'd tell you about Ice Cube, bro. They all love Ice Cube. The older ones right above us, they all love
Right.
Ice Cube, bro. Like you gotta listen to not only that, remember when he came back with Lil Jon and he lifted up the mattress and he had in the video, he lifted up the mattress, he had the khaki suit underneath of the mattress, like And when he say I got an ego that's bigger than T.O., you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, Ice Cube is definitely hip hop royalty. And you got to know this. Way before that nigga was making movies, we was visualizing what he was saying. Today was a good day is one of the greatest stories. Like that should be like literary. Like he could have won a Pulitzer Prize for that shit. That is
Mhm.
storytelling of what it was in his neighborhood at that time, bro. Shout out to Ice Cube. Know your history, man.
Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, yeah, he needs to get his flowers as an MC. I know he's doing a lot of stuff. He's done a lot of the movie stuff, the businesses, the things, the people he's put on is important, but his contribution to hip hop as a rapper is the most important thing. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, making those songs back then that you needed to hear that people don't make nowadays.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, and
it's
some
like
things that I'd like to add to that is uh, Ice Cube doesn't like usually get mentioned. And we talk about like the all-time great storytellers, right? The storytelling songs, right? We say Nas, we say Slick Rick, we say Ghostface, we say Big,
Raekwon.
say Raekwon. We usually don't say Cube, and it's interesting we don't say Cube because Ice Cube got quite a few of them. Obviously today was a good day. We know that one. But I mean, do people know about Gangster Fairy Tale Part One and Part Two? Where he's doing like the story of
mhm.
like it's like he's taking like the hood and making it like a children's kind of story thing. Like, do people know about that one? That's a great one. Was it Once Upon a Time in the Projects? That was a
Once upon
really
a time in
dope
the
one.
projects.
Yeah. What was the one where the woman was pregnant and he thought they thought it was his and he had a whole story. You can't fade me.
Oh,
You can't fade me. That's the one.
yeah,
You
you
can't
can't
fade me.
fade me. Yep, yep,
One is
yep.
really dope. So, and it's probably some more I'm not thinking about, but he has quite a few like storytelling songs. And when you talk about like rappers that like check all the boxes, right? Like, look at the boxes, like classic albums. We can check that box. Just talk about storytelling songs. We can check that box.
Hmm.
Battle tested. I think we can check that box. We already know about
Yeah,
No Vaseline, but we
I ain't
haven't
even talk
even
about no Vaseline.
yeah
I ain't even
we,
talk about no
yeah,
Vaseline
but
being one of the best diss tracks of all time.
without
Like,
Of all
question.
time.
And we haven't talked about this one on the tier list yet, but I'm gonna bring that one up and within the next couple. The battle with Cypress Hill is underrated. Like that King of the
Mm,
Hill. Oh my God, yeah. So we need to talk. We're gonna talk about
forgot
that one.
about
So
that.
he checks a lot of those boxes when you talk about great MCs, influence, impact, all that check. So yeah, he absolutely should
Check, 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 check.
get more recognition. And I gotta say, man, like that song Natural Born Killers with Dr. Dre, that's gotta be the one, that's gotta be the top five just hardest hip hop songs ever, man. Like that's
Yo,
gotta be.
that beat just boom, boom,
Mhm.
boom, 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 boom. That joint, what?
Yeah, man. So yeah, and like Stan said, I think that like people when they think about Ice Cube at this point, they do think more of the movies and the TV shows, which is awesome. That's great. That kind of progression is awesome. It's amazing. But yeah, let's just make sure we don't forget how great he was. He was great. Um, Obviously, I would say the Ice Cube prime, and y'all can correct me if I'm incorrect on this, but I feel like his prime is probably like late 80s to around like 94, 95. Would that be his prime, you would say?
I would say between Check Yourself, from when he dropped Check Yourself to Players
Yeah,
Club. I
yeah,
think that would be
yeah,
considered his prime. So by the
yeah,
time Players Club came is when he really like stopped like chasing the rap. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know if that would be his prime though. I kind of feel like at that point, I think a lot of people was using the fall off term for him at that point. So I feel like his
Well,
actual
Maybe
yeah,
Friday
I
would be
feel
the
like
end of his prime.
yeah, but it's a hell of a prime, and it's a prime that realistically is a little bit before our time, kind of right because like
Hmm.
yeah.
it's kind of before our time, but it was so impactful that we knew we had people
Hmm.
that told us the history, right? So we could go back, and so that's just important, man, to understand how great Ice Cube was. So flowers to Ice Cube, one of the greatest,
Definitely.
without question.
Absolutely top 10. Hmm.
Hey yo, you know what I just thought though? Like you just said, storytelling with Ice Cube, and I just said, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Technically speaking, that's a storyteller about what would happen if you fuck with Ice Cube. Like it's really a story, yo. It's real, yo. He's really telling a story, bro. Like he couldn't help it.
Yeah, without question.
And that
All
shit,
right.
that song is like, if you check out the original version of that too, because that's on America's Most Wanted, the original, not the, and it's also the remix with the Grandmaster Flash sample to it before Puffy did it. You know, so.
Okay, okay.
He love jacking for beats too when he rapping over the people's
Jacking,
beats. Like man,
Hey, yo,
Jacking for
that was the
Jacking,
hold up.
yeah,
That's the first. That's the
yeah,
first
yeah,
mixtape. That's the first mixtape. That like 50. I mean, Sticky Fingers did it a couple years after he did, but he actually did the first like before 50 and all them niggas did. We got to give him roses for that too. Mixtape game.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. All right.
yep. Supposedly some of those beats that he used on Jacking for Beats was shit that was supposed to be before NWA. That's an urban legend,
Mm,
but yeah.
Mm,
okay.
mm.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you guys want to
Yeah.
add for Q?
No, it's definitely, yeah. Let's get to it, to your joint, to your guy, man.
Yeah, who you got for us, Reg?
All right. So the person that I'm nominating that you need to understand and know the history and understand this MC is Joe Budden. Um, Joe Budden for me is in my top 10. Now, when I tell people that Joe Budden is in my top 10, I get two responses usually. First one is you talking about the pump it up guy, and the second response that I get is, oh, you mean the podcast guy, right? I think that people don't actually
Uh,
know mood music Joe Budden. Joe Budden, for me, just on a personal level, there was two MCs that, well, there's a bunch of MCs, but if we're talking about the actual subject matter, when you talk about like what you're rapping about, when I was trying to write my little raps, right? There were two MCs that really got to me to make me understand that I could be myself. I could rap myself. You know, when I first started rapping, I rapped like someone who came up in the era we came up in. It was a lot of
right.
tough talk, a lot of Lloyd Banks style punchlines. That's how I rap because that's what was popping. But Eminem and Joe Budden were the two MCs that were themselves. They were able to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. They were able to really tell people their story, regardless of what it was. Eminem was rapping about getting bullied in high school, right? Like hip hop is full of bravado, machismo. So it's not easy to rap about those kind of things because people make fun of it. But like Joe Budden, man, you're talking about a guy who rapped about his issues with like his baby mothers. He talked about addiction. He rapped about depression. He gave it everything. He put all of himself into his music, man. And something else that I think that people need to understand about Joe Budden is that his influence is actually very underrated. Correct me if I'm wrong, y'all, but when it came to mixtapes were usually somebody rapping over other people's beats just to let you know he in the building. An album might be coming later, but I'm a rap over other people's beats and just freestyle over them. Really, it was Joe Budden who was able to come out and do a mixtape with original beats. It wasn't over other people. These were original. These were basically songs that became albums. Um, you know what I mean? So like these were actual songs on mixtapes, and this is something that you started to see later. You started to see Lil Wayne do the same thing. But for
Right.
me, Mood Music 2 was the first time. Like Mood Music 2 was the first time I remember a mixtape sounding like an album because it was album songs, right? Let's talk about the influence on who I think most people would agree is probably one of the biggest rappers of all time, Drake. Drake was highly influenced by Joe Budden. If you go back and listen to his like really old stuff, his flow sounds just like Joe Budden. It's like a copy paste of Joe Budden. You also think about him, Drake rapping about like relationships and being hurt from relationships, influence from Joe Budden. Joe Budden brought that in, man. And again, I'm not saying he was the first, but like he sure took it to a different level. The places Joe Budden was willing to go in his music was stuff that I'd never seen before. Like the how personal his music got. And so for me, it was highly influential because that's when I really started to rap different. I kind of went away from Lloyd Banks' tough guy punchline and started saying, okay, how am I actually feeling? You know what I mean? And Joe Budden really was someone who, even if I couldn't relate to exactly what he was going through, it was how he felt that really connected with me. I remember on Mood Music 2, he had the song, Are You in That Mood Yet? And again, the honesty when he's saying, priorities are fucking starting to gas me. I'm thinking like my little man's life slipped right past me, starting to trap me. His name is Dwayne. So why the fuck my son keep calling him daddy? Same shit I feared after all these years. I gotta breathe. I can't believe my ears. Wiping out my eyes. I'm damn near in tears. But you know you can't be mad because you know you ain't been there. Like, how real is that? He's like telling you how he's feeling, but then he's like, yeah, but I ain't been a good father though. So it's my fault. Like, yo, who rap like that? You know what I mean? Like, who's able to be that real and that vulnerable in the song? I mean, so like for me, Joe Budden, Mood Music Joe Budden is one of the greatest rappers I've ever heard, man. And let's not get it twisted. It's not just the dark, vulnerable rhymes. On a technical level, Joe Budden got busy.
Yeah.
You look at the song Dumb Out, Mood Music 2. More like 9-9. No name should be mentioned with mine unless we talking Big Pun in his prime. Maybe 9-6 J before Dame was throwing money around. A Tupac without Humpty around. 50 before M. Nas talking like a gun in his song. Cameron doing Children of the Corn. Beans before the cops came by and tried to grill him. I'm talking 9-5 Big L before they killed him. M before 8 Mile. Shine for the jail shit. Cannabis. No album out before the L shit. Talking about Kiss. DMX when he was fucking with Coke. Cuban Links, Raekwon, and Goats. I do it all. Who else blended well in the game? Talking Fab back when he was still spelling his name. On my Diddy shit, Memphis, Grizzly shit, like back in the day when Cube snatched all the Biggie shit. Bruh, rappers don't need trouble with I, unless it's Razzcast before the DWI. Talib the most, Common before B. Any less common, don't put him before me. Bruh. Bars. That song is straight bars, man. So yeah, man, for me, and I get why people will look at me crazy for saying Joe Budden is this great, but I understand that they just don't, they never listen to his music like that. They've never heard a song like 10 minutes. He just goes 10 minutes straight with a cigarette. He tells you through the song where the cigarette is at as he's still telling how he's feeling. They've never heard that song. They know Pump It Up and they know the podcast. And honestly, for the record, I actually don't like him as a podcaster just because like I just don't, that's not who Joe, to me, that's not who Joe Budden is, man. I mean, respect to him, salute to him. I'm happy he's successful with the podcast. But I feel like a lot of times they like kind of like underrate his rap impact and his influence and what he brought to hip hop. They kind of like shuts it away. You know what I mean? And like people who listen to Joe Budden during the Mood Music era, they know how great this guy was. So yeah, man, Joe Budden, one of the greatest, without question.
Hey, Reg, it's funny that you say, you went through this evolution of being like the gun bar guy that shoot you. Remember that bar you had, if you get a restraining order, I'm gonna shoot you from the distance that you put me. Like you had them gangster bars like that, and then you grew. But so did Joe Buttons, though. That's literally Joe Buttons. When you hear Joe Buttons early, like Desert Storm, when it was him, Fab, and Paul Kane. Remember, DJ Clue had all three of them niggas. Yo, he was killing niggas. He was smoking niggas. He was dropping bombs off at niggas' houses, all type of stuff. He was doing a lot of different things, you know what I mean, like violently. But I guess that wasn't him, and he was just doing that for the mixtape. But you can see early Joe Buttons be that punchline gun bar guy, and then you see him grow. Then you see his music mature as he gets older. Devil in My Room, the work he did with Slaughterhouse, like him and Crooked Eye. Last night I saw the devil and that conversation he was having with the devil, and then what the devil was saying to him in return. And then you can look at what he had said in those bars. You could look at his career and see, like, oh shit, like yo, like nah, devil I ain't fucking with you. That's why I ain't get this, or that's why this ain't happening. And then Crooked Eye came up and said some whole nother other shit. Like that's one of the most underrated groups. Joel Ortiz, Crooked Eye, Royce, and Joe. Like that was a vicious four, bro. Then they have Eminem around them sometimes, bro. That was just a lot. Um,
This should have been a lot. That should have been a lot bigger than what it was.
yeah, it should have been. It should have been a way bigger. But
That
like you,
should have been a lot bigger than what it was.
but what you like you say is the pump it up guy. Like when I think about Joe Buttons, like as a guy that knows his career, that's the last. That's like I don't even consider that to be a Joe Budden song. I just consider that to be something he put on the radio to get his name known. If you want a Joe Budden song, you got to listen to him talk about Tahiri. You know what I'm saying? Like when he talk about his relationship with his woman, bro. Like in the back and forth that they go through, bro. You can see it in your like, bro. Like, damn, bro, he actually, like you said, bro, it's like he actually put that in the song. Like, he talking about how he depressed, want to kill himself and shit like that. It's a whole bunch of like Joe Buttons ain't hiding shit, bro. Like that same dude he is on the radio now, the podcast ain't got no chill. He say whatever he want, whatever come to his mind. Yo, that's the same type of artist he was, bro. That man, like Reggie told you, that man told you he failed as a father on wax. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it ain't too many dudes just gonna do that, bro. And like I said, when he was on his mixtape Joe Budden, like early Joe Budden, he was really like vicious. He became an artist later on in his career. But for the most part, his early mixtapes, bro, he was Cassidy. He was like Fabulous. He was like Jada Kiss and all those Lloyd Banks. But at some point in time, he branched out and became something different. So definitely need to read up on Joe Budden. I wouldn't say he wouldn't be in my top 10, but I think he is one of the top 10 most underrated. Like in terms of rappers who don't get the true credit that they deserve, Joe Buttons is right there outside the top five on that, to be honest with you. He deserves a lot of respect, a lot of good music. They got swept underneath of the rug because I mean you beefing with Drake, you beefing with 50. You always beefing with somebody at the top that can get your music suppressed. You know what I mean? That's basically what his career is, bro. But monster catalog, just like we know about Ice Cube. They might not know about AZ, but for the most part, people know about Joe Buttons and it's still diss him. You see what I'm saying? People really know how nice he was, and they still diss him because they don't like his personality. But definitely gotta know who Joe Buttons is. Give Joe Buttons some roses, bro. Know your history with Joey.
Yeah,
Anything else?
Reggie know what I'm going to say about Joe Budden. So I mean, not a fan. Not a fan. Here's the thing about Joe. Like Joe didn't play the game the way he's supposed to play. When Joe got signed, because again, I knew Joe when he was on the mixtape scene with Stack Bundles and G.A. Clue and all those niggas. I knew. The nigga was nasty. Like he just got at niggas, and he had a distinct flow, distinct voice. Everything about Budden was dope. When Joe got signed to Def Jam and put that album out, and you listen to it, you're like, this is not Joe Budden. I don't know what the fuck this is, but this is not the shit that Joe Budden would do. And there's a couple songs on there, like 10 minutes, you know what I'm saying, where you hear Joe Budden as you know him. But for most of that shit, that's some commercial shit. And look, Pump It Up became a real hot song. It became one of the biggest songs in the country. It's playing that shit at NASCAR races and white proms and all kinds of shit. So he got a hit, but it didn't take him anywhere as far commercially. And then he started bad mouthing Jay-Z because then he did the Pump It Up shit and Jay-Z rapped over it and killed it. And then he came back and freestyled over it again. It's like, now you're going to battle with the guy that's running your label. That's not smart, bro. Not smart.
That shit was hip
And
hop
that
though.
was,
That shit was
but it
hip
was
hop.
hip hop.
Yeah, you want to take
Yes,
my
it
beat?
was.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna take it right back.
Yeah, it was, and I'm sure a part of Jay probably respected it. But then the other part of Jay that's running Def Jam, like this nigga trying to show me up. Like fuck this nigga. This nigga ain't sell no records, man. His album bombed. He had a good single, and that's about it. And that was kind of the end of Joe's commercial career. Everything else he did was just basically mixtape shit. And again, that shit has abolished to me, to some people anyway. But yeah,
Typical,
he definitely needs that
typical,
recognition
typical
for it.
mixtapes though. Typical mixtape. That's the thing. So Kurt, like, correct me if I'm wrong, because maybe y'all can put me in direction of where this happened beforehand. Mixtapes were rapping over someone else's beat and just killing it.
Absolutely,
Move,
yeah.
Right.
Move Music 2 was an album with original beats. I think there was only one song on there that wasn't an original beat. Everything else was original beats. They were just songs. They were album songs that were put on a mixtape. And the
I,
same
I, I'm
thing.
I'm trying to figure out when did music come out because I think technically speaking, I think Jewels is the first artist to have a mixtape on SoundScan. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. But I think Jewels is the first one to have an actually have a mixtape recognized as far as like actual sales
But
on your portfolio.
is it actually a mixtape at that point? What I'm saying is Move Music 2 wasn't something you could buy in stores. Move Music 2 was a mixtape for the streets, but it was original beats, it was songs. So what I'm saying is I don't know about the Jude Santana thing you're talking about, but this was actually a mixtape. This was an absolute mixtape, and but it wasn't. This was original songs, original beats. And the reason why that was the case is because he
I'm
couldn't
trying to think.
put the album out because Jay-Z didn't, like Stan said, didn't look at him as someone who could sell records, so he couldn't put the album out. And
He might be the first person to have an unofficial EP, like mixtape EP. You know they call them EPs now. He might be the first person to have an unofficial like mixtape EP. He might be.
Bun
I
was
That
just
looked it
might
putting
up.
out
be
albums.
absolute facts. That
I
might
looked
be
it up.
facts.
It's 2000. Move
Bun
Music
was
2 was
yeah
2005. I just looked it up. It's 2005.
yeah. Bun was
Okay,
just putting out albums.
when did Jewels drop though? See, Jewels dropped before that though.
Okay. Right, you could be right. You could be right. I'm
I'm
just
not
saying,
sure.
for me, it was the first time I heard somebody do that, where it's like this is an album. Like this is, later on, of course, you saw like Lil Wayne would do that.
Drake and all the niggas,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But I'm saying like this was the first time I heard this. I'm listening to a mixtape. These are original beats. Like these are songs. So yeah. But go ahead, Stan. You finish your point.
But no, he's put out, again, his shit was just albums on mixtapes because of the speed with Def Jam.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that hurt him as far as getting out to the masses, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But again, young people see him now as the podcaster and the hip hop podcaster who has no problem taking shots at whoever he wants to take. I think Button just got picked fights with the wrong niggas, man.
Yeah.
I just think
Yeah.
that he picked fights with the wrong niggas. He picked fight with Jay-Z, wrong nigga to do that with. Picking fights with Drake at the time when Drake was the top, not smart.
He murdered him
You know
though.
what I'm saying? Oh yeah, of course he did, but it's Drake, so
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like he did things his own way. The Slaughterhouse shit like I said, should have been way bigger than what it was, and then it ended pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
The niggas just kind of just went their own way. There was some bad feelings towards Eminem so
Yeah.
I don't know, bro. It's like
Yeah.
Button to me, he's been able to hold his own against a lot of dudes, but if he hadn't picked fights with the wrong niggas, he might be more accomplished as a rapper. And maybe that's why he went into the podcasting deal, because he's like, you know what, fuck this shit. I'm making all this good music, and I ain't making no money off it.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully he's making money off of the shit now, because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of that Move Music shit's on Apple Music now. So
Yeah.
hopefully he's
Yeah.
making some money off the shit now. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah.
again, I'm not the biggest fan, but like I can tell you that Joe Budden was Reggie's nigga. Like after Reggie got the 50 Cent shit out of his system, he got it all that G Unit bullshit out of his system. Then it became Joe Budden, and then that
Yeah.
became the guy that I was constantly getting shit brought home to me. I'm like, yo, he's constantly playing and listening to and telling me that I'm missing. I'm like, yo, I'm not saying I'm missing out. I'm just not. Joe Budden's not. Joe Budden was the dude that invented. I don't want to say he invented pain rap, but he definitely perfected that shit. Now that pain rap,
Struggle bars.
and the struggle rap, whatever you want to call
Yes,
it. That
yeah.
was that was like the blueprint to Reggie's shit around that time. Was
Yeah.
that pain rap that. But again, it gave niggas the opportunity to like, yo, it's okay. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to have problems. Niggas is not. We're not Terminators. You know what I'm saying? We got fucking emotions and feelings, all that shit. And Budden wasn't afraid to put that shit in his music. I ain't saying
You
he's
know,
not the first one to do it, but he wasn't afraid to do it. So I
and
give him
Red,
that.
you
I
said
give him props
something.
for that.
And Red said something though. So on the low ski though, he just opened up a can of worms, and it just hit me. Stan, Drake stole his whole style, yo. Like that whole, like a lot of his cadence and rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, bitch, I'm in my
Uh,
pinnacle. You and pussy identical. You like the finish line. We can't wait to run into you. That's how that is Joe, bro. That is Joe Butts. And then as far about him talking about how he bought this girl Father Christmas gifts. Do you ever think about me? All this emotional, yo, that really was Joe. Yo, son, that was Joe Button, bro. That was really Joe Button. Like that really was Joe Button. It's like it is a lot of similarities now that I think about it between Drake and Joe Buttons, bro. Like that, and we don't say that. We don't say that though. We don't talk like that though. You know what I mean? But it really is. Joe. Another thing about Joe, yo. I mean, yeah, you right. He went at the hardest niggas. He went at the top niggas. But that's what you. But that's why you respect him though. Like his career ain't go nowhere. Not because he was whack. It's not because he was garbage. It's not because he didn't make good music. It's not because like he wasn't a dope artist. It was because he was getting beat by the best. He went at 50 when 50 was at top on top. He went at Jay when Jay was on top. He had words for Eminem. Don't nobody had words for Eminem. He went at Drake. They go at the Migos. Like who? Like Joe because Joe Buttons, and the reason that is because Joe Buttons isn't willing to keep quiet. Number one, and number two, if he ain't gonna keep quiet, then he ain't gonna kiss no ass also. So he gonna say what he feel. When he said Eminem album was he was the only nigga that had the bar. Everybody was acting like Eminem album was good. And they said, man, that shit is trash, man. And it was. Rehab was trash.
Yeah.
Absolute garbage.
I hate
You
the
see what I'm
Eminem.
saying?
I hated the Eminem acting like that, man. I hated Eminem acting like that because Joe Budden is always giving Eminem his flowers to being an influence on him. So I hated that Eminem did that, man. But yeah, it is what it is.
It was though. He was the everybody else was like, yeah, shout out to Eminem. But what nobody listening to him. What nobody making videos like they do, when nigga album come out and it's not like LeBron was bumping the Nas joint when Magic 2 came out. You feel me? But nobody doing that to Eminem, but everybody was saying congratulations to him. Joe was the only person that was like, man, look, y'all scared to say it, I said, bro, that shit trash. That shit garbage. Hey, he did
Yeah,
his thing. He did his thing.
yeah,
He pulled his stand, bro. That shit trash. Call it what it is. So that's why he's hated. That's why he's
yeah,
hated. He doesn't care.
yeah. All right, so yeah, just wanted to give that man his flowers, man. Joe Budden, man, was one of the more influential rappers on me personally. When I say he's in the my top 10, I'm specifically talking about my top 10, the
The
impact that
bias top 10.
me
Yeah.
specifically. So like we're doing one that's non-biased and we actually do put, career achievements in the thing. Obviously, he can't be in the top 10 in that scenario, but like musically for me, he's absolutely there. He was that good. Again, the honesty and what he put into his music was something that was like ahead of his time. It was impactful for a guy like I said, like Drake, like you just said, like Drake to like take that and go in his direction with it. So yeah, man, let's give him his props, man. Joe Budden, the MC, not the pump it up guy, not the podcaster, the MC,
The
The
MC,
pump it up.
one of the greats, without question.
for sure, for sure.
All right, fellas, we're gonna leave it there, man. This was fun, man. This was awesome, man.
You
Yeah,
already
no
know.
fun.
Know your history.
Yeah.
All right, man. Appreciate y'all for coming through.
Peace.
Hey.
All right, man. Thank you.